Okay, we're in the jungle, God knows where, and this is extreme, and I mean absolutely extreme. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. Just working away in my garage here, just changing putting a new tyre on, the 250, and I just thought something I'd like to share with you that I learnt about the adventure through Africa that I don't seem to see very often on the channels, YouTube and that, for adventure riders, and that is heat. So I thought I'd just share a few things with you that Paul and I experienced and learnt on our trip, and hopefully this will be of some use to you all. So we can all go on all day long about bikes, you know, this bike, that bike, which is the best bike to take on adventure travel, tyres, kit, equipment, etc, etc, etc. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a personal preference, and you gain that from your own experience, and also I think from, you know, watching and getting some guidance from other people. But one thing that we all have to expose ourselves to, which we're all equal to effectively, is the heat. And what we found in our experience, having travelled through the Himalayas, Vietnam, and right the way through Africa, is effectively there's two types of heat: dry heat and humid heat, humidity. So I'm just going to touch on that a little bit in this episode and explain just exactly what we went through, and hopefully the tips that we can give you will be of advantageous to you for your own journeys later on. So let's look at humidity. Humidity is going to make you sweat from every single part of your body, whether you're riding or whether you're just walking or sitting down, sitting in the shade, anywhere. That humidity in these kind of temperatures, especially in mid-Africa, the sweat is going to absolutely pour out of you. It's extremely important that you maintain your fluid levels in your body. You've got to keep taking regular drinks of water continuously, whether you're stopping and drinking it from bottles or you're drinking it out of your fuel bladders on the move. You've got to keep rehydrating. I mean, you hear it all the time, but I cannot stress it enough. When you're in 35 degrees with humidity which is off the Richter scale, you've got to keep those fluids pouring into you all the time. Now, it might look like I've just been shot in this picture, but I haven't. This was one particular track we were going through. I think it was in Cameroon. I'm not 100% sure now. Can't remember the exact location. But it was one track that we were going down, and I got caught out by a rut and the bike went over. Now, the thing is here, we agreed that one person wouldn't pick a bike up on his own. We'd both pick the bikes up together no matter what. And this was having dropped the bike, got up and picked that bike up together just the once. And that was the effect that this humidity and the heat had on me. I was absolutely exhausted, probably a little bit dehydrated. Maybe I hadn't taken on enough fluid at the time, but for some reason it really caught me out, and all I could do, having got the bike back up, was just lie down and just take some breaths. Taking a rest is also very important. When one of you starts to get overheated or feels tired, stop and rest, find some shade, and take 5-10 minutes or a little bit longer if you need it out of your day, just to say, you know what, I just need to just take it easy. It's important you do that. Maintain your body, maintain your brain, maintain everything going as it should do. You've got to rest in these kind of conditions. Trying to keep cool as best you can, ventilating your jacket, having a well-vented helmet or vented kit. It all helps, and also try to get yourself as cool as you can at any opportunity. You can see a picture here of when I was in Vietnam, where the humidity in the jungle was so extreme that we decided we'd stop at this waterfall and cool off. I mean, initially I just stuck my head in it to try and get cool. We actually ended up stripping off and getting inside, and it it was a great relief. And this next video will just give you an idea of just how hot it was, a recording I took at the time. Okay, we're in the jungle, God knows where, and this is extreme, and I mean absolutely extreme. Clay track from the top of the mountain, single. The guide was first down, I got down second, came off twice, and we've made it to some mud hut with locals. I'm not joking, this is absolutely extreme, and there's only 2 of us down so far, and it's about half a mile to this hut, and we're slowly walking up to see if we can help the others one at a time to get down. So just prior to that recording in Vietnam, this was the condition I was in, having got to this mud hut. This was as far as I could go at that point. It was just dumped the bike down. I literally just fell on the floor, initially on the concrete floor outside this mud hut. And the local people obviously took pity on me and actually helped gingerly move me around and get the like bamboo mat underneath me out of courtesy, I think. But I literally put myself in the recovery position because I was so exhausted. And I just couldn't do any more. I couldn't even get to my backpack. I'd ripped off my back and didn't have the strength to even drink out of it. I was that exhausted. I just needed to lie down and not move for a while. And that just goes to show how much this humidity can get to you. And as you can see, I wasn't the only one suffered. I think all of us in this party suffered that day quite badly. And this is actually a picture, believe it or not, of our medic. And he was suffering quite severely with the temperatures and the humidity and the dehydration, etc. as well. So even the best of us, even the most prepared of us, can get caught out, and that's why it's very important you understand this when you're planning your journey for a particular day. Just the effects that humidity or heat can have on you, and bear that in mind, and especially if you're a solo rider with the particular size of bike you got and the terrain that you might be endeavouring to ride through. Because if it's going to be very difficult terrain and you end up dropping that bike a few times, your energy is going to get sapped. So you must bear that in mind, how you're going to cope moving on. And there you go, here you see Paul and I, we've got down from a particular run, and again it's just a case of stopping and resting and recouping and regaining your strength. Don't just try and crack on. It's the worst thing you can do. You know, if you're going to have to cut your journey short, camp, find somewhere to stop miles short of your original destination, then you just do it. You've got all the time in the world. Don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure. And here you can see Paul has dropped the bike. This was actually as we were trying to work our way through an area of the Republic of Congo in Africa. And one thing we'd learned when it came to the more difficult terrain, or the sandy terrain, rocky terrain, anything that's going to be a little bit more challenging, is stay reasonably close to each other. And the reason for that is quite simple. You don't want to be going on miles ahead where you lose contact with each other on the intercom. But also, more importantly, if one of you drops the bike, certainly if you're the second rider or the tail end rider, if you're in front, you don't want to be 50, 60 miles in front. You don't really want to be 100, 200 yards in front. You want to be 10, 20, 30 yards in front, so you can stop and it's easy to get back and help out, lift that bike up. And quite simply, the reason for that is you don't want to have to then turn around, drive half a kilometre or so in difficult terrain to get to your buddy to help out, to then have to turn around again and do that same journey back. You've got to consider all these little tips to help each other. And as you can see, we managed to pick the bike up there with these. Not too much difficulty there. Paul's not feeling too bad, and the happy days are on our way again. So what do I suggest you consider, or what have we learnt from our experience? And that is really, First of all, if you're going to try ride solo into areas such as extremely hot areas over some distance alone, then I'd really consider what type of bike you're going to use for that journey. Quite simply because the heat and especially humidity will absolutely drain you if you end up having to pick the bike up fully laden. I mean, picking a big 700cc bike up anyway isn't the easiest of chores. Well, not for some of us, but on rough ground as well, it's a little bit more difficult. But that will drain you in that heat and those conditions. You can do it in the UK or other countries all day long, but it really will sap your energy there. So that's something you need to consider, I think, or we certainly consider now if we're doing a journey of that magnitude into countries which are high in humidity or just high in temperatures, but certainly humidity. The other thing is remember, you've got to drink regularly. I mean, I have Camelbacks in my backpack. Paul has his on his tank. Accept that you're going to be drinking warm bath water every single time you're having a drink. You'll get used to it. That's just the way it is. It's very difficult in some of these countries to stop and find bottled water that is cold because the electricity out there is so poor and the infrastructure. So you make sure you're well stocked up with water. Leave room in your bikes to stock up with more water as well as fuel, but especially water. You need it for cooking as well. You need it for cleaning. You need it for washing. But most importantly, you need it for rehydrating and rehydrating regularly. And probably good ideas we've done. We added some stuff into our water that gives us extra vitamins and all the nutrients, etc., that your body requires. And just keep drinking that regularly. At the same time, eating as well. I mean, that's in some of these countries, it's so hard to try and find anything that you'll A, enjoy, and B, will give you some form of sustenance. But you've got to find it, and you've got to bring it or have it with you for the places that you can't find it. But it's important that you do try and keep your strength up and try to maintain your intake of calories, etc., to keep you going. Just remember, when you're sitting on these bikes, and certainly sometimes it's not so much of an issue if you're going into the cities to get visas or towns and stuff like that, because there are shops around, there are places you can go and find now in this day and age. But just remember, you're going to be sitting there with your kit on, you're going to be stuck in traffic, you've got the heat of the day, the humidity, the heat of the engine. It's it's very hard to describe until you've experienced it. I mean, I thought I'd experienced it previously in Vietnam, but really I hadn't. I hadn't experienced what it was going to be like in Africa until I'm actually in it for hour upon hour upon hour, day after day. It really will sap you. So you've got to bear all these things in mind. It's not all about kit, bike, all the rest of it. And, you've got to look at how is my body going to cope with what I'm going to be dealing with. Fitness is important. I would like to think I'm a lot fitter than Paul, and yet the humidity didn't really impact on Paul and exhaust him as much as it did on me. And yet, in roles reversed, the hot, dry heat of Namibia and South Africa didn't really bother me. We were up to 47 degrees C out there, and I was okay with that. I was coping with that quite fine, whereas Paul was really struggling with that for some reason. So, it's very difficult to say who will struggle with what. All I can suggest is you prepare for that and prepare for it as best you can, and especially if you're solo riding in these countries. Anyway, hope that's been a bit of a help for you all, and please like, subscribe, etc., etc. Thank you. Bye-bye. And yes, I did get the new Tyre and Moose on the 250. Coming up, there'll be more of the journeys through Africa, and also later on in the year, hopefully we'll get on the channel, we'll be doing the Moto Nomad Rally through Mongolia. Bye all.